Hi everyone, it's Adrian Leah. I wanted to make a reading video. I just was feeling like it would be a good day to do it. Mm, it's interesting because it was kind of like a first time experience when I was getting some visions. And I've been getting like the grandparents at the dinner table, but there's like to note that the previous experiences I've never actually sat at the dinner table with them. They were just like kind of distanced and at the dinner table and talking amongst themselves in a way. And the other day I was like literally sitting at the dinner table with them. And I thought that was, well, it was unusual because it's never happened before. And then yesterday I was like kind of getting a pack. There were people in uniforms and they were at the dinner table. It was a little dimmer, but you could see that they had uniforms and not a lot of hair. And so that was the first. I have seen them before, and the scene or vision when they were there. I keep saying table, but at the table, but I haven't seen them like lined up as like all sitting together. Um, like they did and they didn't. Like it just seemed that it was more evident that they were there. Some were, or those who were sitting there, including the grandparents, some were living and some were not. And sometimes, especially when I make a video, I do have the sensor vision that I have these beings or energies at that time too. So I'm trying to think like, because it has been evident before with that scene, and even in the beginning when I started doing these readings, it was kind of one of those ways that I would describe it. Um, so I'll kind of just backtrack a little bit. It has happened before, but I feel like it was direct than more than more direct than other times. That is how I'll put it. So I I feel like that's one of the reasons why I think it's a good idea to make a video today. I was warping my loom for like an hour. I got a good amount done. It takes a while to do. It takes a couple hours because I'm just in the first stage where I am putting the yarn through the reed, and there are a couple more steps after that. So I might do that after I do this reading. I might just wait till the morning. The thing is, I don't have a warping board or a place to kind of confine that area of like yarn because I'm stretching this yarn like 3/4 of the basement because I'm staying in my godmother's basement. So it's not something I want to leave out for very long. Um, I don't necessarily dislike the warping process, but because it's such a long process, um, and I have to finish it in a pretty quickly because I'm not gonna have it just out there looking like that where all the yarn is exposed for things to fall or for anyone to trip on, and hopefully no one's gonna um, have to step or go around it or anything. Well, because my godmother saw it. She was actually doing, she was replacing one of the light bulbs in the basement that's more energy efficient. So, um, she did see it, and I was trying to get it warped up so I don't have to have people um, deal with a, an unwarped loom or a loom in the process of being warped. Now, I will start the reading. I did finish a deck bag, kind of, but these I actually weave in the ends and I like to wash them just to see and set the yarn, see how the yarn changes after the wash. And so I cut the pattern chart because I was using different yarn. I was using the same brand yarn, but it was like a different type and category of yarn. So I use different needles. The needles are bigger, so you would get a larger project. And it was such a large bag that it would have to fit like a deck box too. Like, and it would have to be a substantial deck box. And it was still pretty roomy when you would place the deck vertically with the box. So now I place something horizontally and it fits perfectly, and it's one of the larger decks, and it's the deck that I'll use for the reading. The Universal Folk Tarot. At the bottom of the deck is the Knight of Cups, so I'll keep that one out. And then I'll add a button. I'll make another deck bag after this. But this deck was in a bag that I used for something else, but then I was using that deck a lot. So I kind of had to prioritize like my deck bags because I have way more decks than deck bags. I'll use some other decks that I normally do. The Glory to Ukraine Tarot. I like the Slavic Tarot in the last reading, so bring that one out. And if you haven't seen the other reading, the deck is a little different than other decks. Then I would say like most decks don't do this, but they switch the elements for the wands and the swords. So swords are fire and wands are air in here. And I'll use the Slavic legends too. And an angel deck. I had to make a bag for the Slavic Tarot too. I had a bag that I technically made for it a while back. But then it was this bright red color to go with the Slavic Tarot because it is a red deck. But it was so red, I've said it maybe in other videos on my personal channel that I like bright colors, but I don't, or I like rainbow colors, but I don't like super bright colors normally. I don't mind them, but I don't think I would use them often, except for this um, bright blue and yellow crop sweater that I'm knitting. Other than that, I don't usually go for them. And so it was a lot, it was really bright when I would just have it around. So I don't have that bag right now. It's in storage, and now this one kind of just goes commando. And I put it places where it hopefully doesn't get damaged or anything. But I have been in the mood for making deck bags, so I want to just keep going with it when I have that bug. And when I say bug, it sounds weird, but when I have that drive to do it, I would say that this deck bag was really fun to knit up because there was a lot of veggie matter in it as I was knitting the main color. I feel like an energy of being in the zone or finding your niche or your place, and not like in a bad way, but a place where like maybe a group setting or something that you enjoy doing or think that you would like to do it for a while or like as a career or a specific path, because you have the card Serenity here, and it was just coming to me of when there was like a scene of a person for a long time, maybe their whole life, they felt like they didn't really belong somewhere, and now it could be like a area or a thing that they really want to pursue. It could be an interest, like a hobby or even a person. But it feels like something just fused or became one because this is seems like a human depiction of an angel or maybe an angel in disguise, if you will. But I'm it's like here if you could see that the wings are attached or like you see that it's like one with the person that's there. And even with the flowers here looking like lilies, and it reminds me of my bracelet too because I made it from beads that were from a bracelet that my grandmother gave me. So this is coral and carnelian. The coral is in the bracelet that she gave me, and her name's Lily. So it was kind of, it feels like things coming together too in that way. It could either even be kind of like a feeling of hitting the jackpot too, because you have the Wheel of Fortune. I just noticed that too. Well, I've seen this card many times, but the fiber is white, and I just started spinning up this Falklands fiber, and it's white. It's probably like the whitest fiber that the first white fiber that I've spun, but in general, once I make it into yarn, it looks like probably the whitest yarn that I've seen, and it's like been hasn't been like treated in that way. It like is maybe superwash or colored. It's just in its pure form. It's like a natural form. And that might be what you can get from like the symbolism of Lily too. And with pure intention, there could be that type of ebb and flow, but in a good way, that things just flow in that way. It could be linked to relationships too, because the Two of Cups is here with, I would say, underlying energy, the Page of Wands. So I'm going to read the decks that the, so this Wands is associated with fire, and I'll read it like that in that deck. And for the other Slavic tarot, this is a Slavic Legends tarot that I'm holding right now, I'll read it as is for the deck that has those associations with those suits and the elements. And it seems to be maybe waiting for a specific time or waiting for uh, something to arise. This could even be for a person too, where you weren't settling for other moments because they just didn't come together like this moment came together. Because I say rarity and maybe being wise at this time, because at the top there might be more symbolism with this because there this is a Polish made deck, and they took a couple years to create this one. So there's the different gods and goddesses in here and symbolisms and some symbolism and some traditions that they have in this deck too. But all that to say, there's the archway with the symbol of, it kind of reminds me of an owl and a cat together, so it can be being wise about something. And with the it kind of looks purple, like purple roses, which aren't the most common roses to get. And then berries on the other headdress. This was a card that came out in the last reading. It's the Ace of Swords. And maybe resembling or being, like maybe it's transmutation in that way, with combined with animal symbolism. Sorry, I think I was like, I was spinning earlier, so I feel like there's fiber in my face. Actually, you know what? Because I have so much stuff like just lying around. I have this bobbin next to me, and I just finished applying my Romney fiber. So, man, I'm so irritated with myself because I had 3D printed bobbins made. Technically, I have one of them, which is good because I use the third one to apply the other two bobbins or filled fiber filled bobbins because I didn't want to use the older ones. I wanted to keep them intact as much as I could and like well in good condition. But it's fine. They're uh, New Zealand wood. And I say with the Ace of Swords and kind of becoming one because it is part bird, part human. You could say part human, part angel, even becoming one, one in one. There's something that just like becomes one. Also, I do have an L tattoo that kind of does that thing that the image does. You have two Ace of Swords that came out in this reading so far. I didn't turn over the other cards yet. So, from the Universal Folk Tarot, and the Slavic Legends Tarot. Also, with the animals, there's a lot of animal energy that I feel like come up in this reading. Although there's a lot of animals that come up in the decks that I use in general, I feel like they're more evident right now. There's something like with embracing certain things. This kind of looks like the Luna color that I have as a yarn, and that seems like more night-ish. This is a nighttime card. And the animals, you have a fox, and that looks like a heron there too. The heron does talk about waiting for the right times too. It also talks about being studious and even the energy of mastering your trade. It seems like a lot of energy does go into something with the Page of Wands here. And I was talking about in the previous reading about the peacock energy and the feathers coming from the Slavic tarot, about something catching your eye with it. This could be something because the owl, cats, the fox, they're more like ones that you would think that would be the predator and to prey on something. It doesn't have to be a bad thing, but it seems like energy that just goes for something. You have the thistles here, thistles tend to be protective, so you might have to protective energy because it has like the exterior that's difficult to get past. Same with different types of plants, same with like cactus, that it has like exterior that's hard to get past, but then once you get inside, you get the benefits of it. So you might have to put a lot of focus and energy and thought, maybe even planning because you have the Ace of Swords twice. Um, into this game plan. And the mountains are in the background too. Mountains also symbolize, it can be symbolizing struggle with that, but then once you get to the top, it gets like easier from there. There's also energy of feeling like deserving of it because of the crown there too. And even like fox energy, some might feel that that fox energy can be seen as um, either I'm better than you, that type of energy, or putting something on a pedestal type of energy. And when I say that, I'm trying to word it, but it's coming out that way. I feel like there is a matter of feeling like embracing what the world is giving you and feeling like you will receive it and that it's something that's meant to be reciprocated in that way if you're thinking about relationships, if you're thinking about the things that you'll get in life. It's part of like one of mastering like The Secret, if you read that book, or they have like movies about that book too. um how you view things and your mindset helps manifest things. I just say that in quotes because I don't use that word often. Um, I don't use it so loosely, and but when I do use it, I feel like it is more or less like in a serious way. I'm not saying like anybody else doesn't use it in a serious way, but I don't want to just like throw the word out there and just to say it. And even that, even with the Fox energy too, I'm trying not to make it sound so just because I do it like this. No, it's definitely up to you how you want to do that. It's interesting with this reading. So you have the Ace of Wands coming from the Slavic Tarot. As I said, they switch the elements, so you're actually getting air with this. Same with those Aces of Swords. So you're getting like triple air with those aces. You have the Ace of Pentacles, Ace of Coins. With the Wheel of Fortune, I feel like this is really good because what you've been trying to do, what you've been getting at, it's going to be almost there. I'm not going to say there in no time, but it feels like a win. Like I said, we celebrate our wins, and a win is a win. You have the Justice card, and you have the Vela here. And it's also kind of transmutation too, because there are winds. And this is also flying and, as I said, the Justice card. So justice is served, and I feel like it is going to be in your favor in that way. You can look at different things in life and see what area that might pertain to. Maybe something that's been on your mind a lot, and then it just happens to pop up because you're so keen on it. But there's an interesting thing about it too, because it's kind of like a paradox. Where's my phone? I showed my background on my phone before, but I'm going to show it again. And let me see if I can find it because it is deep into my Instagram. So this is from the book Journey into Nature. It's one of my, I didn't finish the book, but I read most of the book. And I learned a lot from it. So there's this, on one page, it is saying, why do I have to move on from here? And then he's talking to, there's something or someone that is pan, but then it's represented by something else. It's part of like the journey into nature, but it's been a while since I read it. So the response is, having acknowledged your fixation, the reason should be obvious. You must withdraw your roots from dear old Mother Earth. You must become a free spirit on the planet, not attached to it. You can't remain fixed and go beyond. So that could be where the Knight of Cups is coming into. And the Knight of Cups tends to have like a dreamer type of energy, more so than, well, I feel like the dreamer or the dream is actually represented by the Page of Cups. The Knight of Cups is more of a pursuer, and I feel that's linked to the Two of Cups that you have in the reading, and having that favor with the Wheel of Fortune. Now, the Wheel of Fortune isn't one to say that all the best things are always going to come, but it is kind of like what is the wheel of life in that way. In a spinning wheel, it doesn't just go one direction. For some, you did have to fight some like inner battles in the past. You have the Two of Swords and the Ten of Swords in the past. So that could be fighting any thoughts and really trusting the process. The Ten of Swords tends to be something that puts things to an end. And since it's the swords, it does feel like there are certain ideologies or mentalities that you've kept for so long, but somehow it's coming out of that cycle. There's something that just really changes the direction. And going back to spinning wheels, they have the drive bands, and you can adjust the drive bands because you're spinning in one direction and you're keeping what you spun, and then to ply, you'll turn your wheel the other way. You'll adjust your drive band to spin in the other direction. So you'll have the tens here with the Ten of Swords, and you're coming from 10 going into 11. And another thing that some decks do, they flip flop the Strength card with the Justice card. In the Slavic Tarot, it's the Justice card. More court cards. So you had the King of Pentacles, and then you had the Queen of Cups. Different ways of thinking, I would say. Different ways of living their life, for sure. Different things that might be important to them, might be obvious. But becoming that person, or becoming that, like embodying those things. I will say that there could be different pieces to this puzzle, and being able to accomplish those things might require you to have some type of game plan, as I've said, to do things and maybe to delegate other responsibilities. So those could be the energies of the dinner table, of people that do different things, and somehow they're all there, and something that really holds them together. This could be that sense of purpose that somehow destiny puts them into specific areas to do certain things to accomplish that thing. Those things. The future, you have the Fool card. The Fool card was a card that showed up in the last reading too, and I was talking about the peacock feathers. This is Ivan the Fool. With the King of Pentacles and the Queen of Cups, I feel that if they are in union or they interact in some way, they might have those different ideologies of what might be important, not just in life, but, well, not just for specific things, but in life. And it could be the material wealth versus the emotional wealth. And you also see this in, you know, more traditional, I would say, older type of relationships. Usually he would see the husband carry out like multiple jobs, or be the main person that's working, be the main provider. It does seem like it is more traditional in that way. And again, as I've said in the past, I'm not saying one is better than the other, like in terms of the type of relationship that you should have, whatever works for you. But it does seem like it's that type of dynamic where the wife or the other counterpart, it doesn't need to be genders, is really optimistic about maybe the relationship or family, the nurture type of energy, half full rather than half empty type of mentality. The like more of the optimist in that way. I would say that sometimes it is difficult to see or communicate when those processes and the way that you live your life are different, but both are really in their own personality. Both are really singular in that way, but they could be bonded through, like, it could be matrimony, it could be like divine counterparts. Um, and it could also be you and then a situation, like a moment in life or something that you pursue if it's not a person. And with the Queen of Cups, it could be a person that has a specific feeling about another person, and then it it's really trusting your judgment with the Queen of Cups. You have the Nine of Cups in your overall energy. The bottom of the deck is the High Priestess, so that is a good sign with the Queen of Cups. The High Priestess can be an all-knowing energy, and I'm not saying everyone knows everything, but in terms of the situation, in terms of that relationship, it seems like there is something behind it too. It could be the environment as well, because sorry, I was just making sure that that was the Nine of Cups because I was like, it's very something that I'm not the imagery I wasn't sure with it, but it is the Nine of Cups. So this is health, material, well-being, satiety, and satisfaction. Interesting that it says satiety too. So being happy with what you have, which does go with the Nine of Cups. I'm sorry, the Nine of Cups, the Queen of Cups, and I would combine that with the High Priestess too. The picture shows a masquerade costume from the Ukrainian winter holiday Malanka. It's like that thing where people say that people can spot relatives or people or friends that aren't sincere or um, spot the good ones from like people that might not have the best intentions. So if this is in your energy and these energies are surrounding you, it's not a bad thing. I feel either you or another person can sense what can be like the bad guys or something. And that could be like with the High Priestess too. So that could be like a type of mediumship. That could be heightened sensory with that High Priestess and the Queen of Cups. I feel like it is really high because you have those two in this reading. You also have the Queen of Wands here. That's how to overcome the obstacle. And in the last reading, how to overcome the obstacle was the Empress card. So that's one of the queens that showed up. You have the obstacle being the Four of Pentacles. As I was saying with the King of Pentacles and even with the Queen of Cups, the different dynamics that they may have, and what maybe is successful, what is comfortable, what type of living is ideal for a certain lifestyle, for their lifestyle. For the obstacle, it's the Four of Pentacles. I feel that maybe one person feels like they don't have enough to provide, or there's something that confines them in that way where they feel that more is better. The Queen of Cups kind of comes in and says, I'll take the situation for what it is. I'll love and nurture it for what it is. Because that's what the Queen of Cups does. Um, it kind of feels like energy of maybe someone leaning on somebody else and saying that it's okay. There's that acceptance that you get from the Queen of Cups. Um, and even the energy of like if you present something to this person, they're going to love and nurture it, even if it is outside of maybe what they know or who they know. And then the present card is another queen. So you have the only queen that isn't here is the Queen of Pentacles, which kind of says something because the Queen of Pentacles isn't here, but the King of Pentacles is here. For the present, you have the Queen of Swords. Since there are three aces that hold that air energy, it's not surprising that this is such a dominant energy and card. Um, the Queen of Swords, I would say, is one of the most independent queens out of all the queens that you have in the deck. Not only does it represent maybe like a person that is separated or divorced, even, it's a person that can hold their own and has like separate thoughts and really pursues those types of things. It has that type of importance. And since the Fox energy is here too, I feel like it has that type of wit. And swords are also more of the, at least the court cards, more associated to like military. So it could also be linked to that too. I'm going to pull a couple more cards out, and then I'll read from the Healing with the Angels Oracle. Say the Queen, I'm sorry. This is I feel like since I said Queen, it's associated with the Queens. This is another archetype or court card. It's the Princess of Swords. You see that this sword suit has fire in the card. I would say that just because you can doesn't mean you need to. Just because you can work on your own, it might be easier to delegate responsibility. And I feel like it does link to the Queen of Swords in that way. because the Princess of Swords is holding a sword. It's not surprising, but it's kind of saying that, like, I hope nobody forgot. I'm here and I need to go on this mission because I'm the one with the sword. And it kind of has that sense of like energy of, it's definitely a mindset that hasn't been completely thought out. And so there might be some things with the Queen of Swords that she hasn't experienced and maybe is reluctant to experience, especially with somebody else or something new, because of maybe things that she built around herself. Queen of Swords tends to be, again, a really singular, independent type of court card. So for her to really kind of accept other people into her group, or um, even moments or opportunities, she tends to be really, I would say, kind of picky about it. So with the Princess of Swords, it might be a lesson to be a little more free flowing. With fire, especially with princess or page, pages are the princesses too. Um, Fire can really damage things if it's not focused, if it's not contained, if you're not careful with it. It could easily do like a fuck ton of damage to things if you're not careful with it. That can be destructive, and when you combine fire with air, it can also have that destructive quality, but it could also be something where it could help you focus or even amplify the type of abilities that may present itself, or you may see fit for specific things or situations or partnerships. Um, with the Queen of Swords and the Queen of Wands, even the Queen of Cups, I would say the Queen of Swords goes out of her way to not be so alone, and because that's the present card, and to overcome the obstacle being the Four of Pentacles. Four of Pentacles is a confining energy. It is one that kind of, you could build a fortress with your stuff around you, and that can give you comfort to some degree. But Queen of Wands might give the lesson of to be out and to be merry, to really bring out that fire that you've held in. So it might be good and it might not be that bad because fire and air do well together. Um, and being an optimist too. Usually with the Fool, you get that optimism because they're like excited for this new adventure that maybe they haven't done before, or maybe they have done it before. Um, the Fool's journey is a long journey. The major arcana is the Fool's journey. So if you have been through this before, it was a long one, and now you're stepping in to a new era and you're making it your own. So I think it's a nice reading. Just one more. I got the Two of Swords. Maybe just another one. Another Wheel of Fortune, and then the Two of Pentacles. Okay. Um, and the Nine of Coins. I'll have those cards and then I'll read from the book. So you have the Two of Swords. This feels like passing judgment to this Wheel of Fortune. In this Wheel of Fortune you have Sadgo. I don't know the story. I would feel that with this Two of Swords and the Wheel of Fortune that there are a bit of trust issues with this. It's not surprising because you have the Queen of Swords as the present card, but then you also have it with the Two of Coins with the Nine of Coins, Two of Pentacles with the Nine of Pentacles. I would say that this is linked to the King of Pentacles. Again, you don't have to read for gender. This energy seems more straightforward. This energy kind of feels like I'm presented with this. I like the results. I like the direction that it goes in. I like the way it works. I like the way it functions. It looks like the type of, I'll just say machinery. It looks like the type of relationship. It looks like the type of person that can do this, that, and the third. It seems like a really straightforward way of thinking. Because I think with this Two of Swords, and it's also linked to fire in this deck, this person is more in a training mode because, or combining those elements with the swords, or this element with the swords. And the helmet is off, but the blindfold is on, and the swords are kind of like, well, they are crossed. It does seem like it does feel like a training energy. And you often get that with the Five of Wands too, except you get that more of it in a group setting. This also feels like maybe gathering the courage to do that. This also feels like energy of like with the Two of Coins and the Nine of Coins. As I said, well, that type of foundation, there's something part of that foundation that is not being compromised. This person is really looking to establish something in this certain area of life, in this partnership. There's something that is supposed to be fruitful in that way. It's a working energy, and it's one where it kind of feels like a vineyard type of energy where you're really watching stuff grow and you can harvest it and plant it and to grow. This feels like a lineage type of energy. I feel like that's what the King of Pentacles is establishing with this this other energy. So I will read from the book. So the Serenity card, you the card meaning you are moving into a time of greater inner peace and tranquility. Peace of mind means feeling secure and knowing that you're always provided for. Even if your logical mind cannot fathom how a challenge could be resolved, peace of mind means that trust God will create a miraculous solution. This sort of faith is always warranted because faith is the key component in experiencing such miracles. By drawing this card, the angels reassure you that peace of mind is within you. You can feel secure even in the midst of great turmoil. It is a mistake to think that you have to wait until your life is problem-free before you can be happy and peaceful. The opposite is actually true. First, you will work towards serenity, and then your life challenges lessen and disappear. Serenity is your natural state of mind, and the angels are now working with you to actualize this. So, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in another video. Bye.